Pimps, we are going to hit up nutrition today, and there will be no dicking around with this video. It's been a long day. I still have a whole bunch of other stuff to do. I don't have any notes, but I am just going to throw out the 80-20 for nutrition in Shit Hit the Fan. What you need to know about it and how you can use it to benefit you, okay? And let me tell you guys that I am qualified to talk about this. I operated at a very high level physically for a long time and maintained that low body fat and super high physical performance. And to get there, you really have to pay attention to your diet. That's like 99% of it, man. You can be on the best mass building program ever and hitting it when you're supposed to and getting plenty of sleep. But if you aren't eating enough calories and you're not getting enough protein, you're not taking care of your micronutrients, you're just not going to build mass and you're not going to recover fast enough. It's just, that's what it is. Okay. Your composition will probably change, but you need to pay attention to diet to see those results. And so I've done that for a really, really, really long time. I've also done a lot of intermittent fasting. I've been doing it for 13 years now. So I still do it today. But I don't, focus on such a high level of physical performance anymore, being old and mostly broken, thanks to the high performance years. So at any rate, guys, I know a lot about nutrition because I had to research it to learn to be effective with my own training programs. And so, I got some information to hand out to you guys. Let's talk about it. What we're going to mostly talk about today is macronutrients and micronutrients and where they fit in. And we're going to talk about mixing of macronutrients because that's somewhat important as well. Okay. So let's get into it. And I want you guys to think about macronutrients, the word. It's a big word, right? Macronutrients and then micronutrients. It doesn't mean micronutrients aren't important. It just means that it's a smaller part of the puzzle, but it's still very important, guys. And I want you to think about the two of them like this. Let's say you're going to the gas station to put gas in your truck. And you pay, you get the nozzle, you stick it in there, and you start filling that baby up. The gas is the macronutrients, but the cleansing agents and the things that keep everything running smoothly throughout your engine, that's the micronutrients. Micronutrients are the trace minerals and the vitamins that keep your body running well. It just keeps everything working the way it's supposed to. Okay. Whereas macronutrients are the fuel you're burning, the building blocks of muscle, that kind of stuff. All right, pimps. So micronutrients, they're important to you. If you're not getting any micronutrients and shit hit the fan, you're going to get a scratch and you're going to get infected and you're going to die from something stupid. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you've got a person and all they live on is white bread and egg yolks, two things that have a very limited amount of nutrients in them. If this person starts out pretty healthy, their health is going to decline. You're going to be able to see it on this person, the way they look, their skin, and the way they operate and the way their body functions is going to continue to go downhill because even though they have two of the macronutrients that are fairly important, they don't have that fuel cleaner in there to clean everything out and make sure everything is working good. Where are we going to find some high quality micronutrients in Shit Hit the Fan? When I was in Ranger School, I got very, very malnourished from being starved and all that kind of stuff. And my blood almost became the color of Pepto-Bismol. It was very, very pink. And this is why they give you a container of iodine and tell you to rub it on any scratch because you'll get infected and you'll get like cellulitis and literally you'll get kicked out of school. That's how bad it can be. We want to avoid that and Shit Hit the Fan, guys. We want to make sure we're getting enough micronutrients to help get us through. So where are we going to get our micronutrients in SHTF? Well, one of the things you want to do is you want to make sure that your food stores are quality, healthy food stores. You don't want to go out and buy freaking 50 flats of freaking Hormel tamales and plan on living off of that and Shit Hit the Fan. All right. You're going to be missing out on tons of freaking micronutrients that you're going to need. And over the course of time, things are going to get worse for you. You need to have a varied diet, and you want to make sure that you're consuming quality foods, because lots of different kinds of foods have different vitamins and different trace minerals in them. And so if you're consuming a variety of things, you're more likely to get the micronutrients your body needs. Organic foods are generally going to be higher in micronutrients than their non-organic counterparts. And so I want you guys to think about natural forage. Learn some foraging skills. Learn what is edible, especially little green things out in your area, because small green things tend to be pretty rich in micronutrients. Livers, pimps, livers. Some of you guys have seen a TikTok video and a YouTube video of me eating raw liver out of some of our rabbits. And that's not the only raw liver I've eaten. I have pulled it right out of animals I've killed and munched on it, and you are bound to see it more on this freaking channel. But liver is an absolute nutrient powerhouse. It's a crazy, crazy powerhouse. And so, you know, when the SHTF goes down and you have to hunt to supplement your feed, you know, guys, eat those damn livers. Eat the organs. The organs in general are going to be higher in micronutrients than the muscle, which is the meat that we're all used to eating. So find a way to enjoy it, okay? And if you don't enjoy it, just freaking suck it up and eat that shit anyways. Be a man. If you are farming to help supplement your food, the two vegetables that are highest in micronutrients are kale and broccoli. And kale absolutely creams broccoli. Broccoli is a distant second, pimps. Kale is something else. So make sure you have those freaking seeds stored up. Let's move on to macronutrients now, guys. And what we have here is we have carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Now, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what they do for you. Carbohydrates are what your body uses to act, to do physical activity, exercise, running around, picking up shit your kids left on the freaking front lawn, okay? Your body spends carbohydrates for that. It expends it in the form of glucose that it stores in your muscles. When those muscles begin to get low on glucose, the liver replenishes it. If you get low enough in glucose, your body begins to burn some fat calories along with it. That's where you hear stuff like the fat burning zone, you know? Oh, go spend this much time on a treadmill with your heart rate at this certain rate here, and you're going to begin burning fat at a certain point in time. Your body always is going to burn trace proteins that are in your bloodstream as well, but that's just kind of what you get. It's not really something you need to worry about measuring unless you're getting into some high physical activity like stuff, you know, performance-based stuff. Examples of carbohydrates: lots of vegetables that are starchy or sugary, like potatoes, corn, carrots. Those are all high in carbohydrates. Lots of fruits, so apples, oranges, mangoes, pineapples, bananas. Lots of things that are based on grains, you know, or are grains themselves. So like rice, flour, so pasta, cereals, breads. Those are all really high in carbohydrates. And as you can see, the American diet is extremely high in carbohydrates. And this is why we have so much heart disease, so much diabetes, and so much obesity. Because when you tend to mix carbohydrates and fats in high quantities, and it's more calories than you burn throughout the day, your body tends to store these additional carbohydrates as fat on your body. And another thing it does is if you're constantly spiking your blood sugar levels with high glycemic index carbohydrates, that's bad for you and can end up giving you adult onset diabetes, or even, you know, child onset diabetes. And so glycemic index, guys, is how fast your body can digest a carbohydrate. Not really something we really need to get into here. But basically, the more sugary and the higher the glycemic index, the faster it rushes through your body. And usually what your body is going to do when you eat carbs is it starts to produce that glucose and stuff it all the way into your muscles. It can be an interesting way to help you recover from intense exercise, So I want you to think about this. Shit, the fan goes down. You have some crazy freaking recon patrol where everything was nuts and you freaking worked your ass off like crazy. When you get back home, you want to eat a meal that is high in carbohydrates, has a measure of protein, but you want the protein to probably be about 20 to 30% of the meal. So most of the meal carbs, and you want no fats in it. What this will actually do is stimulate muscle growth and recovery. Okay? Freaking pimp ass secrets coming out, dudes. So carbohydrates, very, very important for shit at the fan because you want to operate like a pimp. And this is really what your body is burning up when it comes to muscular contractions. It's the most efficient form of energy for the human body. Let's talk about fats, because fats are necessary. A lot of people look at fats like they're evil. Like, oh, I can't have any fats in my diet. Like, I don't want to get fat. Your brain runs on fats and carbs, but it uses a lot of fats. And your hormone levels depend quite a bit on what kind of fats you eat. Also, fats per gram have more calories. So think about this. 1 gram of carbohydrates and 1 gram of protein, those are basically 4 calories each, roughly. Okay, whereas 1 gram of fats is 9 calories each. So if you find yourself in shit hit the fan and you're constantly cold, you're constantly losing weight, you feel that you're lacking energy even though you're getting carbs and proteins, you want to do anything you can to increase your consumption of fats, because your body will burn fats as well as carbs, obviously, and even proteins to fuel itself and to get things done. And those fats just give you more calories per gram. Let's say you have to bug out, and you're packing a bug out bag. You don't want to pack a whole bunch of food that is just carbohydrate rich. You want to make sure you've got fats in there as well, because fats are going to give you that energy. They're going to give you that heat. They're going to help you get there, because we're going to say that your bug out situation, especially if you're going by foot, is going to be more intense than what you are normally used to. And you're going to want additional calories available to you. So fats are important, pimps. Where are we going to see fats in our diet? Well, not as many places as you're going to see carbs, okay? I want you to think about a really nice ribeye steak with some really nice marbling in it. All that white in there is fat. Okay, it's part of what makes it taste so good and makes it so nice and juicy and just like kind of melt in your mouth. So you're going to see a lot of fats in animals, but it does depend on what kind of animal. A lot of people talk about how you cannot survive on rabbit. I don't necessarily agree with that. I've done plenty of research into rabbit starvation, and I don't think that's entirely accurate. I think if you are living off of wild rabbit, that's going to be much more difficult. But I will tell you guys that farm-raised meat rabbits are much more fatty. Much, much more fatty. And we leave all the fat on our farm-raised rabbits and cook it, man. But it is going to depend, especially with wild animals. And a lot of times it's dependent on the season. Certain times of the year, they're going to be fatter. Other times they're going to be leaner. Like right when they're coming out of a winter, man, they've just had their asses freaking starved like half the damn winter. So they've burned up a lot of that extra fat on their bodies. So they're going to be pretty lean at that point in time. Okay. Whereas if you kill the same animal in the fall, when it's been eaten good for that good half of the year, it's going to have a lot more fat on it. And you want to take advantage of that fat, guys. You don't have to eat it right then, but you can always like render it down and store it, for future use. Don't let it go to waste, guys. Eat what you can. Fat will tend to go rancid faster than like the protein portion of the meat. So you have to be a little bit careful about that. You're better off using it and consuming it quicker. And it is what it is, guys. You can't, if you're in shit hit the fan, it's like, you might as well eat the fattiest parts of the animal first, especially if you're out in the freaking boonies and trying to live off the land. That's what I would do. Next is protein. Last but not least, protein's very important. It is part of what forms the building blocks of the human body. Think about your skin, your hair, your muscles. Okay, these are largely made up of protein. Usually the highest protein, the best protein sources you're going to see are animal products. Okay. Meats, milks. But if we look at cow milk, I mean, it's largely carbohydrates, guys. It's filled with sugars. So that's, that's obviously more carbohydrates than it is proteins. But usually you're looking at like eggs, and even eggs are very fatty, except for the egg whites. Egg whites are all protein. So lean meats. Lean meats are going to be higher in protein than they are in fats. And your body needs this. And protein is kind of like a special thing. All right. A lot of people that just consume lots of carbs and not enough protein, their blood sugar really gets dicked with, But if you consume protein and carbohydrates together, the protein actually slows the digestion of the carbohydrates. So it's not so bad on your blood sugar. And you're getting that protein in your body as well. And your body, here's another cool thing that it can do. It can take protein and can literally convert it into carbohydrates. Now, this is not a super inefficient process, but it's not a super efficient process either. And this is where the whole discussion about rabbit starvation really takes off. Protein is extremely filling, guys. If you want to lose some weight, I'm going to highly suggest that you massively increase the amount of protein you eat every single day. You just won't eat as much because it's so filling. Well, if you're trying to live off of wild rabbits and they're almost all protein, it's hard to consume enough calories to keep your ass alive. That's really, in my opinion, where rabbit starvation is such a problem. People are simply going to live off of wild rabbits that are super, super lean. Not a great way to go. It's just going to be hard to consume enough. And having done intermittent fasting and done lean gains specifically, there's a lot of days where it's supposed to be a low carbohydrate day because it's a non-workout day, and I have to consume massive, massive amounts of protein and moderate amounts of fat. And it can be hard to hit the goals just because I'm so stuffed. Your body uses proteins to rebuild muscle that it's kind of broken down because of intense activity. So in the scenario we ran back when we were talking about carbs, and you come back from some crazy ass recon, you had to run your ass off and work out and do all this crazy shit to get back home, and you're there, you're safe, you are. Your recovery meal, like I said, should be higher in carbohydrates because it gets your blood flow going. It's going to open up capillaries, and it's going to help flush the protein you ate throughout your body to help you recover. It's also going to help remove a lot of lactic acid. Sometimes having your blood sugar go up can benefit you. But after that initial meal, if you're consuming more protein, your body is actually going to use it to build any muscle that was stressed enough to produce growth. Let's talk about different ways we can mix the 3 macronutrients, because this is also very important. If you are living on carbohydrates and proteins and have very little or no fats in your diet, you are going to get leaner. The fat that's on your body, especially if you're, acting the way you probably will be in SHTF, which means more activity than you do regularly every day right now. If you're living on carbs and proteins, you're going to get leaner. You may also build some muscle and get a little bit more jacked, but you're going to burn fat. That's how that's going to work. If you are living on proteins and fats, now you're operating at a complete deficit of carbohydrates. After a month, you're going to be really tired, actually, because your body has to take proteins and convert them into carbs, and your body's also trying to burn fat. And the human body is not really efficient at burning fat until it becomes fat adapted. So after a month of doing that, and this is what happens on keto, your body will become fat adapted, and it has a really easy time of just converting fat right over to calories that it can burn. And what you'll see when you get there is that you can perform aerobic activity and not get tired. But if you have to do any very intense activity, you'll get tired very quickly. I know because I was training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu while doing keto, And I was fine doing all the warm-up activities or anything else I was doing in my normal life, like hiking with my wife and doing bushcraft stuff and all that. I was fine. I had all the energy in the world. But when it came time to roll, I'd get gassed inside of about 3 minutes, whereas if I was eating carbs and on a different kind of like a more of a performance-oriented diet for athletic physical performance, I would not get gassed. So you can definitely do it. Proteins and fats alone, as long as you're getting some micronutrients as well. And shit, from what I've heard, a lot of guys on these carnivore diets, I guess there's quite a bit of micronutrients in meat, especially if you're not cooking it first. Not that I want to like live on freaking raw antelope and shit hit the fan. I would if I had to, though. I'd do it. I'll do whatever it takes, pimps. I'm not a quitter, man. I'm going to go to the freaking very end. At any rate, you're also likely to lose weight living on protein and fats. Why is that? Well, because normally your muscles are filled with glucose because you're eating carbs. You're actually going to shrink a bit. You're going to lose a bit of muscle size because of that lack of carbohydrates. Remember, now your body is fighting to convert proteins to carbs, and it's not going to do it real great. And it's also burning fats as part of its fuel. Now, I'll tell you what, if you do this for a number of months and all of a sudden you start eating carbs again, don't overdo it on the first freaking feed, okay? If you eat a shit ton of high glycemic index carbs on the first feed after living on meats and fats for a number of months, you can literally pop capillaries throughout your body, okay? Because that rush of insulin and it pushing everything out. So kind of go a little bit slow, but you will see that you are going to swell up. Your muscles will swell up when you get back and eating carbs. Now let's talk about the worst version of mixing macros, and that would be carbohydrates and fats. And to be honest, guys, this is what a lot of modern Americans do. They don't have protein take up enough of their diet, and as a result, they're, constantly spiking insulin levels, excessively eating carbs. Their body's storing that. They're not getting enough physical activity, and the fat's getting turned into fat and getting added to their body. If you are living on carbohydrates and fats only and shit at the fan, and it's really not likely that that's going to happen. It's not real likely you're going to find yourself in that situation. But if that's what you're doing, you are going to lose muscle mass because your muscles need protein to support their size. Any kind of activity you're doing is going to put a stress on your muscle. And like I said, your body is going to tend to burn trace proteins in your blood just doing normal physical activity. And if you're not getting any proteins in your body is going to slowly eat its muscle up and eat it away. So that's not really where you want to find yourself in shit at the fan, guys. You do not want a carb and fat only diet. Where is the best place to be? If we were going to look at our macros and break them down to be like in a good, healthy spot, well, I'll tell you guys, probably 40% of your diet would be carbs, 30% would be fats, and 30% would be proteins. But there's always going to be some changes here depending on your activity levels, how you're operating. Like if you're in some crew and you're constantly running these long-range recons by foot, you'll probably want to increase your carbohydrate intake to a certain point, so you just have that additional energy like on demand right there to get the job done. But it's really going to depend. I think that 40, 30, 30 is really the sweet spot for most people. And I think we can call it right there, guys. There's obviously a ton of information about this topic. I could get into it for a long time and talk about all different kinds of angles and get more into recovery and muscle building and all that kind of stuff. But I think that covers the 20% that's going to produce 80% of the results for you regarding this knowledge in Shit Hit the Fan, guys. Like the video, share it with someone that would like to see this information or that you would like for them to see this information. Subscribe to the channel. Check out my Patreon link in the description, pimps. Come help support the channel. And guys, comments down below, man. Comments. What are your thoughts on it? And a lot of you guys have been getting ready for a long time. You know, where are you at with it? What's your plan to take care of your nutrition and shit hit the fan? How are you going to make it happen? So let's get some good comments down below about that as well. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next video.